Welcome back to the 5% Club. I'm Shayla King, a former C-suite executive turned business and life coach. And this is the podcast for leaders who want it all. The promotions, the paychecks, and luxurious amounts of time for the things that matter most. Each week, I'm going to teach you from my performance and happiness formula what it takes to rise to the top without burnout and overwhelm. Work less, make more, and design a life you love. That's what we do in the 5% Club. Let's go. What if it could just be easier? What if it could just feel lighter? That you didn't have to always carry everything at work and everything at home and all the emotions of the people around you and all of the pressure and all of the to-do lists. What if right now, not when the kids get older, not after your next promotion, not when your husband starts stepping up, what if right now you could be in the same circumstance but feel completely different? My friends, that is what is possible for you. And today, I want to spend this entire podcast episode giving you examples and sharing with you what is actually possible when you step into the 5% life. Welcome back to the 5% Club. I'm Shayla King, your favorite performance, promotion, pay, and happiness coach. And I coach female executives to not only get the promotion and the pay that they want at work, but how to work less and stress less while doing it. And then how to come back to yourself and your dreams and your passions and how to feel like you're alive again. How to not have to find coping mechanisms because it feels like you're in survival mode. Every single day, just trying to get all the to-dos done, but never feeling caught up. So what we do in the 5% Club is we figure out how to achieve our goals in a different way than we ever have before. It's no longer push, 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 add more energy, add more hours, take another productivity class, more, more, more. Instead, I teach you how to achieve not only the money and the promotion and the life that you want, but how to actually feel amazing and extraordinary while you're doing it. And that's what we're going to talk about in today's episode, because it feels like this magic secret that I have that all of my clients get to experience. And I want you to know that it's possible for you too. Let's go. I can teach you how to make it all easier, how to make it all lighter. You see, we've been taught very thoroughly that this is just how it is, that tired is normal, that overwhelm is expected, and that the mental load and the emotional labor and the never-ending to-do list is just the price of ambition. This is what it costs to have the career and the life, what it costs to be a working mom. And happiness, that's for leader. Happiness is the reward at the end of something, when the kids are older, when you hit the next level, when things slow down a bit. But my friends, that belief is a lie. And here's what makes it worse. It's not an accident that we believe it. It's literally how everything is designed. We're living in the first era in human history where dual career households are not the exception, they're now the majority. Most homes today have two people working full time. It's new, it's modern, and there's no historical playbook for this because it's never existed at this scale before. And what did we do? We took the old model where one person was at home full-time managing the house, the kids, the appointments, the meals, the emotional temperament of the entire family. And we just said, hey, how about we add 40 to 50 hours of paid work on top of that, on top of an already full plate. And then we told women to figure it out. And we did, because that's what we do. But nobody stopped to say, wait, this is actually an impossible design. Men used to work while women fully supported them all day long, right? A man can have a whole stay-at-home wife, someone who's taking care of the kids, the house, the appointments, the laundry, the social calendar, all of it. and it's considered completely normal, and nobody questions that. But a woman who asks for 5 or 10 hours of support a week feels like she's lazy or failing or somehow not cut out for this. We hold ourselves to that double standard and we internalize it. We make it mean something about our worth. You see, the system was not designed for us to thrive. It was designed for us to support, to sacrifice, and be a supporting character. But you have one life, and you, my friend, have choice. So the idea that you just need better systems or better time management or to wake up earlier, it's a lie invented to keep women sacrificing more. You don't need to do more. This is new territory, and we get to write a different playbook. And in the 5% Club, that is exactly what we do. The 5% life is not about doing more, it's about doing less on purpose. It's about learning to say no to a whole lot. It's about resourcing yourself so that you're not running on empty and then wondering why everything feels so hard. It's about getting so stable in your confidence and your emotional regulation that you stop needing other people's opinions to feel okay. And when you stop needing that, so much of the mind drama, the emotional stress, it just goes away. Not because your circumstances changed, because you did. The women that I work with, the 5%ers, they have lighter lives. Not easier circumstances necessarily, but lighter lives. And I want that for you. For most of my life, I did not even know that lighter was possible. I didn't crave it because I didn't even know it was a real outcome that I could want. I thought the goal was to be stronger. I thought the goal was to be better. I thought if I could just build more resilience, develop more grit, tolerate more, and learn more, I would be okay. So for 20 years, I did the really hard thing. I chose the hardest path. I carried the most. I was the strong one. I was the one who could take it, and I wore that like a badge of honor. And I did not even think to ask whether it had to be that hard. If you're sitting here right now and the idea of your life feeling easy sounds naive or soft or unrealistic, I get that. I lived there. Now I can teach you how to make it lighter. This is not fantasy. This is what happens when you stop following the playbook that the 95% follow. Because here's the truth about the 95%. It's a miserable mom who feels like she's sacrificing at work for her kids and sacrificing her kids for work, and she can never win. She feels like she's always behind, always falling short somewhere, always the last thing on her own list. And the idea that life could become easy feels completely out of reach to her. So she just keeps going. Stronger, harder, more. That is not the only option. I promise you, that is not the only option. I went from that hot mess, overworking mom to a cool, calm, collected CEO that loves her whole damn life. I have a business. I have 5 kids. My husband's out of town most of the time. I've had some major things happen in my life. This is not about having easier circumstances. It's about A, knowing it's possible, and B, learning what changes you need to make in order to live this lighter life. And it's not a strategy that's taught. What's taught is no, 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 you keep sacrificing and we'll honor you for the sacrifice instead of allowing yourself to be the main character. The 95% is the miserable mom who feels like she's sacrificing all of the time, who feels like she can never catch up, who feels like she's always falling short somewhere. And the idea that the life could be light or easy feels completely out of reach. So she just keeps going. Often she doesn't even know that she made the choice to accept this because she's just surviving the day to day. But that is not the only option. I promise you, that is not the only option. So I just finished working with one of my one-on-one clients, and we always end with a celebration. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about this experience because I think for this client, it's very similar to what so many of you are feeling. So on paper, she was crushing it, accomplished, great salary, put together. And at the beginning of working together, I asked her to score different areas of her life. And her lowest score was an 8. An 8. And so I said to her during the session, I said, why did you come to work with me? And she goes, oh, God, I was in a really bad place. She goes, I just wanted like a rope to pull on for support. And I knew that you worked with women in positions like I was in. And she said, I just wasn't happy. At the end of the night, I would have a glass of wine. I would read incessantly, not like as a good hobby, but like I over indexed on that as a coping mechanism because I just felt shitty. So I said, you know what's really interesting? The lowest score you gave me when we met was an 8. And she goes, that's so interesting because why I gave you an 8 was because even when it was that hard, I didn't want to admit it. I knew that I was supposed to feel like I had my life together. Isn't that interesting? She was coming to a coach to get help and didn't even want to admit to her coach how bad it was. So, one thing that was really fun as we worked together is that 8 was in her career. And I always ask, what would make it a 10? And she told me, what would make it a 10 is if I felt like everyone thought I was excellent at my job. And so I said, how would you rate your career now? And she said, oh my God, a 10. She said, I'm so happy. I feel so grateful for being in the role that I'm in. I get to do the coolest work and it's very meaningful. I have so much autonomy on my day. And I was like, wait a minute, but you said you would be happy when you had everyone respect you and think you were great at your job. And she goes, "Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that didn't change." She goes, "There's still some that love me and some that don't." She goes, "But I don't need it anymore. That's what you taught me. You taught me to find my own belief in myself and to decide myself when I was ready. And if I was doing a good job and to be intellectually honest about what was working and what wasn't. And so I now know my strengths. I know what I'm good at, and I can assess myself and give myself that value. And I know that someone else's opinion doesn't change my value. So I wouldn't even rate that as something I want to change in my career in the future. That's what you taught me. And that is why I was trying to escape. I felt like they didn't like me. I felt like I wasn't good at my job. And so I would just read and drink wine and try to forget about the fact that I wasn't good enough. And that's what I didn't want to admit to even you when we got started. But now I feel like I can also be so much more open and vulnerable about what I need and what I'm feeling. Just so much has changed since working with you. And it really has to do with self love and happiness. And that changed completely how I show up for my job. That changes how I fundraise. That changes how I speak at events. It changes how I plan my time and what I get out of my team and how I expect them to show up because I take myself seriously and I take my goals seriously, just like you taught me. So I thought it was just such a cool example of the fact that she was hurting and that's why she reached out. But on paper, she looked great. And she didn't even want to admit to herself that any category of her life was below an 8. But she felt like it was hard. You see, when we have to be martyrs and we have to be so good at what we do, that it also means we can't ever complain. It also means we can't ever say, this isn't what I hoped it would be. I hope this isn't the finish of my life. I hope that there is more. I want to feel different. So, what I want to do today is invite you to start to believe in the inevitability of that coming true. That you can, in the same circumstance, feel completely differently. And that's what this client was able to do. And so it's so fun because typically people come to me for a career, but so often, I think every single time, they say that happiness is what they value even more. But what's really interesting is I don't market the Performance and Happiness Lab for happiness. I market it for increasing your performance and being ready for that promotion so you can get paid more. Do you know why? It's because women feel comfortable investing in something if they know it's going to give them a financial return. They do not often believe that they are worth investing in their happiness. It's more qualitative, right? But it also feels more selfish and feels like I should be able to figure this out on my own. I should just sacrifice and be grateful for the good enough life that I have. And so women don't invest dollars in themselves that way. And if you take a step back, I think it's so interesting in what is okay in society to spend money on and what's not. So we can spend 10K on a bathroom remodel and feel like that somehow is helping the family, or that having the new wallpaper up or the new sink is going to make us feel different. We use our money often to buy a feeling. We just don't realize that if we have the same thinking, if we have the same skill set and the same tool set, that having a prettier bathroom, having a nicer car, having anything for your house, even taking that dream vacation, investing in your kids' sports, all of that, you won't change long term if you don't invest in new thinking and new skill sets. And so I just find it really interesting that as much as we say we don't want to be consumers, our society is so much more comfortable spending dollars on tangible things. And some of it makes sense, right? Because if I buy a glass, I can see the glass. I know that I bought the glass. And if I need to resell the glass, I could. We don't usually, but right? But if I knew we could. But when I'm investing in myself and my mindset, that feels way more qualitative, right? And so what's beautiful about the Performance and Happiness Lab is women come in and they pay 5K to join the program, and then they get a promotion and they make 20, 30K more. And so they do get to see that return. But every time they say the salary was one thing, the negotiation was one thing, but what I really value is how I'm a changed woman. I show up completely differently in life. I don't complain. I don't feel sorry for myself. I know my boundaries. I know when I'm in control. And I love life again. And I'm being that example to my children of what's possible. Because so often it feels selfish to invest in ourselves. And so we're like, we're going to spend the money on the kids' camp. We're going to spend the money on them to play club sports. We're going to spend the money on their equipment, whatever it is, because we think that shows that we're being a good parent. But the best thing we can do for our children is to be a happy mom. There are so many studies on this. I want to cite a couple for you. The research backs it up. A mother's happiness is the single most important predictor of family stability and a child's ability to thrive as an adult. More than income, more than marital status, more than parenting style. Not just saying you're fine, but actually feeling good. It's actually the most leveraged thing you can do for your family. You being lighter is the gift, not the bathroom model, not the travel team, you. And you do not have to be in crisis to want more. You don't have to hit a wall or burn out or finally break down to deserve something different. You just have to be willing to be honest with yourself. Something feels off. It is off. If you're reaching for the wine or the scroll or the shopping or the busy because it's easier than sitting with how you actually feel, then you already know. You already know something needs to change. Now take a big breath with me right now. You don't always have to be the strong one. You don't always have to choose the hard thing. You do not have to be a martyr of what can be accomplished. It's not strength, it's suffering. And you have one life. I did it the hard way for 20 years. I ruined my body. I got 4 autoimmune diseases. I chose hard because I thought that was the only thing available to me. I did not know that easier was real. And it's now my life's work to make sure that women like you do not have to suffer unnecessarily and that you don't have to spend 20 years to figure it out. Life can be easier. You can be lighter. You can be more successful, have more fun, and feel like yourself again. All of it is possible. And I can teach you how to make it lighter. When you're ready to call in a 5% life, the Performance and Happiness Lab is where we work on that together. The link is in the show notes. You can always find it at shaylaking.com. And All I want for you to know this week is that lighter is possible. Let's go. Thanks for joining me in the 5% Club today. If you're ready to make more, work less, and design a life you love, then go to shaylaking.com and join the waitlist. You'll be the first to know when there's openings to work with me in one-on-one coaching or the Performance and Happiness Lab, my group container where you will learn to be a high-performing, highly paid executive who loves your whole life. I'll see you there.